I went to a fashion business school and I cannot even get a job that makes more than $17 an hour.
The comments on this video is exactly the reason we are never going to gain class consciousness. So people were
Welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel.
City boy! City boy!
All right, you guys. Basically, this sounds like I can't get a job with a college degree. I'm checking this out from Jessica Sherman's TikTok channel, and it was a response to this video. You're valid, girl. Don't let the comments make you feel otherwise. America, college, jobs, higher education. So let's just see what this is about. Looks like it's about a 3-minute talking session. And, I like to hear different sides of everything. So that's what we're doing. And that's what we're going to get into. Hey, if you rock with me on Black Pegasus, like, share, comment, subscribe. Link in the description of my other channels. I have a music reaction channel that just hit 500,000 subscribers. So if you're into music reactions, rock with me over there. But let's go, man. Let's see what this is exactly about.
I went to a fashion business school and I cannot even get a job that makes more than $17 an hour.
The comments on this video is exactly the reason we are never going to gain class consciousness. So people were commenting on this video of this girl validly complaining that she got a degree from a fashion business school and she can't find a job, and she's shocked. And people in the comments are like, well, what did you expect? You got your degree in a hobby. That's a degree for people with connections, babe. Do y'all not understand?
Oh, shit.
The majority of people go and get their degrees, their bachelor degrees, when they're like 17, 18. I was 17 when I started college. And these schools sell you jobs you will get with these degrees. That is fraud. These schools are lying to you. She has every single right to come on here and complain that she cannot get a job when she was promised that, and that our federal government, I don't know her specific case, but for many people, our federal government gave millions of dollars in loans so people can pursue these degrees. So you're 17, 18 years old, right?
I mean, she ain't wrong. She ain't wrong. I'm just surprised that this generation, mainly Gen Z, is still oblivious to the concept of college, right? All these people getting administration stuff, degrees and all these different things are about to be wiped out in the next year or two from AI. If you look at, you got to study the trends and see where it's going. And so I believe that AI is a little more dangerous than we think. So there probably should be regulations. But the reason there's not going to be regulations is because there's no regulations in China, and we're in a race to be the better AI distributor, whatever the hell it may be, than China, right? Because technology is how civilizations advance, right? It's the whole concept of even, the colonization and conquering and stuff, most of the time it was because the technology of guns and gunpowder went up against sticks and stones, in a lot of senses, right? So there's a way deeper conversation here now. So hopefully these people are waking up. But when you look at the enrollment rates, men are getting out of college and women are enrolling at the highest rate because in society, we've been sold all of these things, right? That you have to go to college to do this, to do that, and the other. And it's just unfair. But a lot of those jobs aren't going to be there. I saw this during the pandemic, I believe. I think it was around this time. And people were clowning people who couldn't work because of the pandemic and who refused to close down their gyms or whatever. And there was this term on Twitter that went viral, learn to code. Maybe I have some of that information incorrect to some capacity, but everyone was saying learn to code. Like it's not that bad. Learn to code. Guess what? You don't need to code anymore. They have these apps like Replit that can make you a whole app and a website within minutes. You just pay the cheap subscription fee on that app, and it will make that for you. I had people who've made me websites for thousands of dollars, and now I can make it in a couple of minutes for $20 a month or whatever the price is. It's not $20 a month to have the website. It's just to have the application that builds the full website for you. So there's about to be a shift and they were sold a crock of all of us were at some capacity, and I don't know what is right, because all these youngsters are coming out like we want, debt forgiveness or loan forgiveness on our college loans. And I'm just thinking about all the money I invested in businesses that failed and all these that I've bought that failed. I have thousands of dollars of albums, CDs from my rap career in a shed. I spent thousands of dollars on it. It's worth more. Well, it ain't worth shit now because of technology, and I'm just SOL. But I can't get debt forgiveness for that decision. I thought, I had always made a living selling CDs on tour, merchandising, and I thought, this is a great investment. This is, real estate at some point. What was I was going to say? What is it? Intellectual property real estate, right? This is my intellectual property housed in a physical form, and I can sell it to people and make a profit. Well, I can't do that anymore because music is digital. So I understand the frustration because I've been through it, lost thousands of dollars, been in debt. It took me forever to get out of credit card debt from all the money I invested in my music career. But for some reason, what I've noticed with the college kids, they're not willing to figure out the way to work out of that debt. Maybe it's because the debt's higher. My debt was like, $40,000, right? Which is pretty high on a credit card because of the interest, right? Actually, it's half and half. Like, part of it was in a loan that me and my buddy got together, and part of it was my credit card debt, about 30 grand on credit cards and about 10 grand in a loan for my rap career, running commercials on TV, buying merchandise, doing this, investing in the business. So I don't know. I don't know how they get their get back. Hopefully I'm not saying this like I'm mad at them. Because, everyone will be like, you had a choice. You chose to go to college, or get all in their bag against these people. And I'm like, man, when people are sold a lie, they're sold a lie. We've all been sold a lie and bought it at some point in our life. If it's business, a relationship, a car, we've all bought into a lie at some capacity. Theirs just costs more. So I honestly feel some type of empathy for them when they're not entitled about it, when they're just keeping it a buck, like, look, man, this is kind of effed up. And the system, I'm telling you, man, the education system and the healthcare system in America needs a whole rerouting.
I don't know her specific case, but for many people, our federal government gave millions of dollars in loans so people can pursue these degrees.
Facts.
So you're 17, 18 years old, right? Or not even. Let's say you're 30. You're 30 years old. You're going to get your bachelor's. You're passionate about fashion. You're passionate about the business side of fashion. So you go to this school, and this school goes, well, we have a program for that. Obviously, if a program exists for that, in your brain, you're going to think there's a reason for that. Like, the program exists because there is a demand, right? Because there are jobs, right? And then that school tells you that there are jobs. Every single program that you go and study, they're going to advertise jobs you can get with that.
That's crazy.
And
I didn't know that.
Since the establishment of higher education, it has always been that you go and pursue higher education so you can get higher paying jobs. It is only a very recent phenomena that people are getting degrees and they can't get work. They can't get work in the field that they studied, and they're getting zero return. They're getting negative return on investment for their degrees.
This is true.
So you're young.
Let's highlight this real quick. If you have these companies selling you a crock of right, and let's say everything she's saying here is true, I don't know because I didn't go to college and I haven't done the research in that as much, but it does sound applicable and it sounds pretty dead on. So, this happens, and I'm just going to highlight it. I'm just trying to keep it a buck, and y'all let me know in the comments. But for me, even though I put in that, I told you I was like 40 grand in debt with my rap career. Then shit hit the fan. I don't know if this was Bush or Obama, but gas was like $4.20 a gallon, and I had like this gas guzzler. I was cooked, but I just kept chipping away. And all of my experience in what I did led to me to start throwing concerts. That's when I started making a little bit of money. That's when I started getting out of debt. But if you look at all the investments I made in my music career, independent. This is before social media. So I had to pay someone to make an actual video a commercial video to put it on a tape, bring the tape to Comcast and buy commercial time, study the slots on VH1 and MTV and buy commercial time for Comcast to run my commercials, to buy CDs, to buy t-shirts. If the t-shirt design wasn't popping, you couldn't market test it on social media. You're just like, oh, no one's buying this t-shirt. I'm out of luck. Paying graphic designers to design all this that wasn't selling, that did sell, blah, blah, blah. But what I wanted to highlight is all that built my brand. And so now I'm a YouTuber. Now I do all this other stuff, and there's still value there. She's talking about like they're not building a brand, right? And so they're in the negative because of these loans. I just wanted to highlight that because, you know, being an entrepreneur and you know, putting money into myself, I did get a net return, even though I was in the negative. Even though if you look at the totality of my career and everything going on, actually, I developed a skill in speaking with people. And now I speak with people online. I've developed these skills. So I was in a net positive. So, you know, try to take it with a grain of salt, what I was just saying, because I'm kind of understanding her frustration here more as she explains the way things work with these college institutions and selling these things. And you see this, there's a lot of institutions that are like kind of quirky in America. I would say the education system, the privatized prison system, and healthcare. These are quirky systems where you're like, really? Because I'm like, yo, anyway, I'm not going to get into the privatized prison system because I believe people need to go to jail for doing crimes. And honestly, I don't think they're as aggressive as they should be in this day and age for certain types of crime, violent crimes, abuse against children, etc. But the privatized prison stuff, it's kind of wonky.
For going to an accredited university that is selling you what is supposed to be a legitimate degree, and you have every reason to believe it's legitimate, and then you have the federal government co-signing and providing you thousands of dollars of student loans, why would you not think at the end of it is a job? And then instead of us all coming together and pointing out how corrupt and effed up this system is, you all want to point the finger at a young woman who validly went to pursue a degree and is shocked she can't get a job. So what? It's in fashion. It was the university's job to give her a return on investment because that is what they advertised to her and that is what she paid for.
I don't know how much of what she's saying is true, but if what she's saying is absolute, she's cooking. And sometimes I'll get caught up in some of the right-wing combo. Well, you went to college for underwater basket weaving and this, that, and the other. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, these people were motivated enough to go to college, do the work, and get the degree. Like anyone that goes to work for something like and hits the goal, like I actually respect that because I understand what hard work and work looks like, regardless if it was in fashion, electronics, you know, whatever. And, you know, I mean, you got to be more decisive with your decisions. So, you know, I don't know how fashion works. I don't know what she went for. I'm not co-signing going to college for a fashion degree. I didn't even know they're giving out fashion degrees. Most of my people took L's getting a business and communication degrees. They all went and they're like, yo, I can't get a job. I'm serving tables now. So it is what it is, but maybe we can learn from the experiences of others and dodge these mistakes, right? Have the convo. Like all these people are talking about it on TikTok. Why are you still enrolling for this stuff? That's all I'm saying.
Mind you, there are multiple court cases where the universities have lost because they inflated the statistics about job opportunity and attainment after students got the degrees, and people claim that they were scammed and they paid all this money and they got no return on investment. So what I'm saying isn't even radical. The courts have ruled that these universities and these colleges are literally committing fraud. Y'all need to stop pointing the finger at each other and start pointing the finger up to the people that are creating these issues for us. In order for us to get anywhere, we have to stop pointing the finger at each other. It's not immigrants. It's not women. It's not this girl that got a bachelor's in business fashion. It is the ultra wealthy, and it is our literal federal government.
Okay, she kind of cooked at the end. I wouldn't always dive into it's the ultra wealthy, the rich are doing this, that, and the other, because there's advantages to being in a country with a lot of wealthy people. And America feels those advantages. It's why we can drink running water from a toilet and not get sick like you do in Mexico. But that's a whole nother conversation for another video. What I would say is that pointing up concept. She's on to something. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. It really isn't the immigrants, you guys. We have these conversations. People, I'm misunderstood, y'all. It really isn't the immigrants. Americans aren't mad at the immigrants. They're mad that our government gives free resources to immigrants instead of the American people. They're giving resources to people who are not citizens and not taking care of veterans of the country. This is the underlying angst with immigrants. When she said point up, well, she has a point. It's not the immigrants. It's the way the government handles the immigrants, the immigration situations. So she has a point there. I don't think you should be calling, oh, these dumb college students, da-da-da-da. If they're being sold a scam like the way she presented it, I actually agree with her. I actually agreed with her way more than I went into this thinking I would. And that's why I like this channel, because I just go into this hearing stuff. Y'all tap it in the comments. Let me know if I'm tripping. Again, you know, we got to pick the poison, man. Like, you going to college, you going to spend money. Like, I'm trying to get that real job, like the come up job. But again, I didn't go to college, man. I applied for college, Pikes Peak Community College. I remember applying, and it was a community college. It was cheaper. And I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know. And I just never finished the application process. I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit this one out, y'all. And I just went my own way. I was just my path. Everyone's going to have a different path. Good luck out there on your path. Let me know what you think.
City boy, city boy.